You know when you're reading a really good book and you just wish you could jump right into the pages? Well, today we're going to talk about a guy who kind of did just that. Let's dive into the amazing story of Don Quixote.
So, who likes a good hero story? You know, the ones with knights in shining armor, huge castles, and epic adventures? Yeah, me too. Well, the man in our story, he loves them more than anything. Okay, so let's jump right in and meet the man behind the legend. We'll start at the beginning, when he was simply the book lover.
So here he is, Alonzo Quijano. He's an older man who lives a pretty quiet life in a little village in Spain. Seems normal, right? But inside his head, oh, it's a whole different world, packed with incredible stories about brave knights and their quests.
And he reads a lot. I mean, so much that the line between what's real and what's in the books just gets blurry. He starts to believe that all those epic knight stories are 100% true.
So, what do you do when you believe these amazing stories are real? Well, for Alonzo, it sparks a huge idea. He's done with just reading about heroes. He decides he's gonna be one. And that's how we get a new knight, Don Quixote. And just like that, he transforms. On one side, you have the regular guy, Alonzo Quijano, but in his mind, he becomes this brave hero over here, Don Quixote, the knight. He's ready to put down the books and go live his own adventure.
Now, every good knight needs a few things. It's like a checklist. First up, a cool new name, Don Quixote. Check. Next, a noble horse. He finds one. It's a little old, but in his eyes, it's a mighty steed named Rocinante. Then you need a loyal helper, so he convinces his neighbor, Sancho Panza, to be his squire. And of course, every knight needs a princess to fight for, so he imagines the beautiful Dulcinea.
And there you have it. The team is all set. We've got our knight, Don Quixote, his sidekick, Sancho Panza, his trusty horse, Rocinante, and the princess of his dreams, Dulcinea. So, with his team ready, Don Quixote rides off to find glory. But his adventures? Well, they're not quite what you'd expect. Things get pretty funny, and sometimes even a little sad.
Okay, here's the secret to understanding his adventures. When Don Quixote looks at the world, he sees perfectly normal, everyday things, like these windmills.
But his imagination completely takes over. In his most famous adventure, he doesn't see windmills. No way. He sees monstrous evil giants. And he believes it's his job as a knight to fight them.
And this kind of thing happens all the time. He might see a simple flock of sheep, but in his mind, it's a giant enemy army getting ready for battle. You can just imagine poor Sancho in the background, totally confused.
But here's the thing about Don Quixote. He's a good guy. He really wants to do the right thing and help people. The problem is, because his imagination is so powerful, his attempts to be a hero usually just end up causing a lot of trouble for everybody.
After so many mixed-up adventures, the story takes a turn. The clash between his dream world and the real world is about to come to a head in our final section, Dream versus Reality. So while he's off fighting giants, his friends and family back home are getting really worried. They miss the real Alonzo Quijano, so they come up with a plan to try and bring him home from his imaginary world.
And eventually, their plan works. A very tired Don Quixote returns home. But the long journey and all the battles, both real and imagined, have taken a toll on him. He's worn out and becomes very sick.
And as he rests, something remarkable happens. It's like the fog in his mind finally clears. He remembers who he really is, Alonzo Quijano, and he realizes that his life as a knight, the giants, the princess, it was all just a beautiful dream.
So what's the big takeaway from this incredible story? Well, it shows us that dreams and imagination are really powerful and wonderful things. They can inspire us to be brave. But the story also reminds us that it's important to stay connected to the real world too.
Don Quixote followed his dream with his whole heart, no matter how wild it seemed to others. And that leaves us with one last question to think about. What is your dream? Thanks for joining me on this adventure.